Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at hagerty.com. PCA Sim Racing is proud to have Hagerty Motorsports as its 2021 title sponsor.
The week started with some exciting and unpredictable races here in Montreal for the challenge and sport classes. But the pleasant surprise was the relatively clean runs we witnessed at this punishing course. The bar has been set for the club and pro drivers, but with the level of competition increasing, will it mean the risk-reward factor rises too? Let's find out as we get ready to watch Event 3 of Series 7 of PCA Sim Racing presented by Hagerty Motorsports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and down in pit lane, we have Taylor Burris and Rachel Whiteford. And as always, they are using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. As always, the PCA Sim Racing Series is brought to you by Hagerty. Since 1984, Hagerty has been the worldwide leader in collector car insurance. Everything they do is geared toward enabling and enhancing the experience of automotive enthusiasts and making sure that the vehicles we all love and the lifestyles that revolve around them don't just survive, but thrive well into the future. Services include the Hagerty Drivers Club, Drive Share by Hagerty, the shop, and much, much more to fuel car culture. Hagerty, let's drive together. As we saw earlier this week, we are at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, a track with quite a bit of history in all types of motorsports. But let's head to our track guide provided by GSRC to learn some more. Welcome to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Host of the Canadian Grand Prix for over 40 years, this track's popularity among fans refuses to wane. Although it has gone through a few alterations in its history, the nature of its layout has remained pretty much the same. That nature, of course, is that its 14 turns are mostly chicanes, split up by long straights to add up to a 2.7-mile street course-like canyon of a track. These 4.3 kilometers are mainly made up of actual streets on the man-made Ile Notre Dame, though portions are specifically built for the racetrack. But whether or not fans consider it a true street course, the close barriers that line the majority of the track don't care what you think. Places like the exit of Turn 4 and Turn 9 frequently collect the greedy. But these pale in infamy to the notorious Wall of Champions. Named for its penchant to collect F1 World Champions, the corner itself is called Quebec. Regardless, it's a finicky and tight chicane with a critical corner exit, so drivers are tempted into edging the car as close as they dare to the concrete. Despite the numerous heavy braking zones, passing can be difficult at times for certain types of cars. Often, attrition or cut course penalties play a bigger part in who finishes where. While sports cars and NASCAR have both made stops here, this place is mainly known for its history with Formula One. Named after what is easily Canada's most popular driver in the International Open Wheel Series, this semi-temporary circuit looks like it's actually here to stay for a long, long time. Well, DJ, we've got some examples to go on now, at least, with earlier in the week, the Sport and Challenge Series coming here. So how are these cars handling at this Canadian track?
Well, they're handling well, but that doesn't mean it's not a handful, Joe. We saw a lot of, let us call them kerfluffles, going down into that first corner on the first lap. The Senna S, very, very difficult. From there, we did also see some surprising late diving maneuvers through the 3 set of chicanes that lead on to the hairpin. So really any part of this track can be used for overtaking, as we saw earlier. But still, the best overtaking zones, that's really going to be going down into the Senna S and then coming off of the Casino Straight, going down through that chicane before the Wall of Champions. Drivers going to have to be very careful, though. We did see a lot of people locking up into the hairpin, running a little bit wide, so that is something that they're going to have to keep on their toes about.
No doubt about that. Right now, we're in the midst of qualifying here, so we're watching most of the drivers get their second lap in. You can see Ian Simon here coming around for his first timed lap in the 87 car, and it's going to be a 35.4. Unfortunately, his first one was deleted, so that's the only shot he's got at it. And Glenn Dennis just went quicker at the pole. The 20 car is now only 8 thousandths ahead of Austin Bucket, but we're still waiting on one of our winners from this season, Nikki Chan, to set a time, so that could be a difference maker. Here we are on board with the 981 right now, just coming to the line.
Yes, we are, and let's see what Chan has for the rest of this field. Crosses over there, waiting to see that time register. I think that may have been a warm-up for the Upper Canadian Region driver, so we are not going to be able to see that yet. We've got to wait a little bit longer there, Joe.
Yeah, we have 4 Canadians here today, at least Club Canada. I almost said Club Canada. Robert Lacroix, Nikki Chan, Jialin Nguyen, and James Su are your Canadian drivers out here today. So if you're cheering for the home team, that's who you want to be looking for. Chan along the back side of the course now, heading towards turn 8. And boy, compared to last night, we are seeing drivers get very brave with those outside walls.
Yeah, they're really flirting with them, and that really is the best way to get a good lap time around here. You're also seeing Chan playing a little fast and loose with those curbs. It's going to have to be careful about that during the course of the race, because if you get too much of that when you're locked into a battle, it can send the car a little bit offline. Good line, though, there through the hairpin. You really want to take as late of an apex as possible and carry much momentum out of the corner as you can to really maximize your speed down this Casino Straight.
Indeed. We often forget this wasn't at one time a complete straight all the way through. It's gone through multiple different iterations where it had S's for a while, and then for a few times it had chicanes in there. As Chan takes a fair bit of curb, but looks like it's nice and tidy. Here we go. Can he challenge Glenn Dennis? Crosses the line. It's a 34.9. The first driver to break the 35 mark at the first time of asking.
Well, all right there, Nikki Chen laying down the law here. That will be that pole for him. Dennis is currently back in the pits right now, so it doesn't look like he's going to really be able to challenge as his 2 laps are up anyway. But that's a great time there from Nikki. Going to be very happy about that. But we ride on board here with Stephen Kemp.
And another of our VR users, actually giving us a bit of a wider angle as well. Usually we just see kind of a waist up shot of our drivers, so we don't really get to see the feet work and whatnot. And so far seems to be okay. Keep it nice and tight there. Over to the left-hand side, heading down into the hairpin. I'm watching Mike Knighton, who's just crossing on his final lap. He doesn't improve, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't look like he's going to go any faster, so that is going to be 31st for Mike Knighton. Waiting here for the last couple of other cars to come across as we continue to see here. There is the look at that start-finish line.
I think Chan is our only driver that is able to take another lap, and he's already got the pole position, so can he get it farther away from Glenn Dennis? What will the two have for one another here in this round when we get to the green flag? Once again, looking nice and smooth out of that final corner past the Wall of Champions. A 34.9 gets bumped down to 34.7. Wow.
That is a benchmark for Nicky Chan, about 3.5 tenths ahead of his nearest rival of Glenn Dennis. Now, the one thing to keep in mind with that is that this is a pretty draft-heavy track, Joe. So that gap, if Dennis is able to at least keep within, let's say, that 0.4 of a second, he may be able to still challenge Nicky Chan around here.
So when on his third lap, so this is just practice at this stage, double checking, and yeah, there are no other drivers out on track that are able to set a time from here. And in fact, look like when practicing his pit entry as well. That'll take us to the championship points. And as I mentioned, Chan and Dennis are up at the top, having both won so far this season, tied at 320 points up there. It is Edward Nelson, who is currently in third place, behind the two tied leaders, with Cliff Kerr in fourth, Travis Brody tied for fifth and sixth with Austin Bucket. And then you have one more tie down there with Dialosa and Ambrosino. Kemp and Geralp round out your top 10 after the first two rounds. We head now into the warm-up session. Let's bring in our pit reporters down from pit lane. We see some gorgeous views from some of Dougie's blimp cams over here, and it's no wonder it's so pretty here, Rachel. I was a bit surprised at some of the facts you were telling me about the guy that designed this place.
Yeah, absolutely. The track here at Ile Notre Dame is actually located within a specific park. That park, of course, being the, as I've forgotten the name now, it was going to be Parc Jean Drapeau. That was the one. And funnily enough, the guy who designed Parc Jean Drapeau designed Central Park too. So, fun fact, which I didn't know before this one as well. So, a certain lineage there of designing historic public spaces around the turn of the century. So,
indeed, and frankly, that's quite the pedigree here. Now we just need to get a race course in Central Park, right? So
that would be amazing. I think that would happen. New York Formula One round, Central Park Grand Prix. That'd be amazing.
I'd be up for that.
To be fair, though, if it's the New York Grand Prix, I can highly expect the entries will not be the Formula One cadre. It will be the New York taxi drivers.
Most likely. Here we see Austin Bucket trying to taxi his way down to turn 8. And the Alpine Mountain Region driver has got himself, where has he qualified actually? As Austin Bucket has put himself into third on the grid actually. So very good day for the 21 car. Now we head down to Taylor Burris, however. Taylor, after what we witnessed in the first two races on Wednesday, do you think we can get a repeat on the good competition and few cars crashing out? Or do you think the fact that they're going to have to be pushing that much harder to be competitive here, will it see an increase in wrecks?
It's going to be a mix. This class here that we see tonight is very competitive when it comes to respecting each other as well as racing hard. One of the drivers, though, that we're going to be keeping an eye on is our pole sitter, Nicky Chan. He has a win already this season. He is also a very strong competitor when it comes to the Canadian courses. In fact, started fourth, came home winning at the last Canadian track that we went to, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. But we still have a couple of other drivers to keep an eye on as well. You have Gary Rice, who is a strong competitor in the PCA, followed by Ken Estridge as well. But the one drivers that I'm also going to keep an eye on is a couple of other Canadian drivers, James Sue and Robert LaCroix. Those are going to be some ones that are going to be up towards the middle pack of the field, but can capitalize on some great opportunities to get some strong finishes. Of course, Robert starting in fourth position, James Sue just outside the top 20. Keep an eye on those two as well.
We see Randall Ayers in the 83 car. He's going to be starting from 13th. On the grid, so he's going to be in kind of one of those danger zones in the mid-pack at the start of the race. And just glances the wall. Well, now's the time to do that with the warm-up session, as you can certainly get away with those moments. DJ, we also had pit stops last time. I found it interesting that a few drivers actually had some moments to jump one another, it seemed. It does look like there's ways that you can really maximize that sequence to try and pick something up.
Yeah, most certainly, Joe. And it's a little bit of a mix and match in how you want to do pit stops. When you get deposited out onto the track from the pit lane, you're in the first and second sectors of the track. And those sectors are very hard to pass, and you can get checked up behind cars in front of you. So if you're able to get a pit stop window right, where you're able to come out in some clean air there, it can really help you get a good lap time down. The flip side of that is you want a little bit of a drafting buddy going down the long casino straight. So it's really all about finding that time where you can maybe just get it right between the two.
Indeed. And before we get to the racing, we want to remind you that our race is brought to you by Michelin. Michelin is the presenting partner for the club class in 2021, as well as the official tire of IMSA. They also manufacture and sell tires for every type of vehicle, including airplanes, automobiles, bicycles, earth movers, farm equipment, heavy-duty trucks, and motorcycles. Michelin also offers a full range of innovative services and solutions that help make mobility safer, more efficient, and more environmentally friendly. Find more about Michelin at michelinman.com. With that, it is time for the starting grid here today in the club class. Nikki Chan has put it on the pole with Glenn Dennis starting from P2. Row 2 has Austin Bucket to the inside and Robert Lacroix starting to the outside. One of our Canadians out there looking good. Ed Nelson starts from 5th. Ian Simon in P6 and Stephen Kemp in 7th. It is Ivan Gomez from P8, and the 5th row has Jalen Nguyen and Travis Brody.
Starting off in 11th will be Klaus Nielsen, followed by Curtis Crummell with Randall Ayers and Robert Cottle behind him in 14th. Jeremy Mazzariello, it will be 15th, followed by Michael Patterson and Aaron Ambrosino in 17th. 18th will be J.R. Gregory, followed by Cliff Kayer. And rounding out your top 20, it's Brett Holmes.
James Sue starts 21st with Will Waldron in 22nd. Mario Gonzalez, P23, will be followed by Patrick Gill. Inside of the next row is Albie Blanco. Chris Szabo to his outside in 26. Logan Grado will be P27. Lyle Eddy will be 28th. Then you've got Andrew Ellison in 29th. Gary Reese in 30th. Mike Knighton in 31st. And Ken Eskridge will round out your 32-car field as we start off already on our very short pace lap. One thing that was interesting, DJ, was that the green flag happened right in the middle of that chicane before, and since the drivers have to go on that announced green, how is that going to affect how they play it out here?
Well, it's going to be very tricky. It's not really possible to go fully too wide through that final chicane, so drivers have to sort of just pray that they can get it right and give a lot of deference and leeway to their fellow competitors.
Here we go as the pace car is in. Ooh, and they're getting a little bit later actually this time. Chan not able to go yet. Waiting for the green flag. They're being held much longer. Green is out, and Chan looks a little bit slow on the start. Dennis going to try and take advantage of it. Don't have a 3 wide like we saw last time coming down to the first corner. Chan to the inside. Dennis around the outside trying to hold on as it's going to switch back into the first corner. Just gives a little bit of a bump. A second one. We got a car spinning in the background, but our leaders are through, and Chan is still in the lead.
Yeah, Chan able to hold on to that very, very well as a battle there behind with Ian Simon and Robert Lacroix, but able to hold off as well was Lacroix. They cross over here, getting lined up for this second chicane complex. It's all going to be single file here. I'm not seeing any big movers. Maybe a little bit too wide there in the back.
Down into turn 6, and it looks like they're going to be able to navigate that successfully. It looks like Rachel was hanging out at the end of the pit lane. You got a good view of the wreck. What happened?
Yeah, it certainly did. What we just saw there was Ed Nielsen coming through the second turn there around the big right-hander, and unfortunately slight netcode contact there with Travis Brody, and it got him sideways and around. A single car incident though, and I'm pretty sure will be just marked racing incident, at least I believe so. He stayed off the track, he actually reversed, he got well out of the way. Really sporting rejoin.
Unfortunately, with the beat at the very start, he's all the way down in 29th. We'll make that 28th. He just got one as we watch from Austin Bucket. Started this race in 3rd, somehow down to 6th. Not a good one for the 21 machine as they break for the Wall of Champions in anger for the first time. Ooh, he's got a great exit all over the bumper of Ivan Gomez.
Yes, he does. He's going to start to try to poke his nose down to the inside of that number 8 machine, but Gomez doing a good job to try to prevent anything going there. Bucket's going to have to fall back into line. Gomez, in turn, has Ian Simon right ahead of him. Simon had a great start, but got checked up. That was a big check up there from Austin Bucket as well.
Simon's got a whole train of cars and nobody in front of him because it seems like Lacroix has stretched away down through 3 and 4. All of them keeping it off the wall, thankfully. Not seeing anyone close enough for a sneak attack into 6 this time.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head with that terminology there, though. It's got to be a sneak attack down into 6. It's a very tricky corner to get the car straightened up to be able to get on the binders just right. Ooh, looks like there may be a little bit of good run there, but this is your leader, Nicky Chan, continuing to pull away here to the tune of about 1.2 seconds.
As we watch the 981 head towards the hairpin, Taylor has an update on an incident we missed at the start. Taylor, what you got?
Yeah, Will Waldron in the number 22 had a little bit of an off while coming through the S's of that first set of corners on the front stretch. Looped it around, made contact with the Armco barrier on the outside, was able to continue on, but unfortunately has dropped back to 31st position, so have a long ways to catch up on.
Right now, we're watching from the roof of Ivan Gomez, looking at Simon just in front. He's got the slipstream. Now they have to get on the binders. He gets very close to the bumper, not able to get side by side. So everybody files through one at a time out of Quebec and towards the start-finish line. Now we look at the onboard cam of Austin Bucket.
Yeah, and that's Bucket trying to close in on Ivan Gomez ahead of him, under braking. They Constantina up a little bit. And yeah, Joe, as I said earlier, very tricky to get a 2-wide battle going through Quebec, that chicane before the Wall of Champions. What you really want to do is set yourself into a good position where you're able to maximize your exit off of that chicane and actually get the pass done going down into the Senna S.
And Austin should theoretically be quicker than Ivan Gomez because he qualified a number of positions ahead of him. Although he's got to worry about what's behind. You can see that purple machine as Crummel in there in the number 41 is certainly licking his chops, hoping the attack goes south and Bucket will open the door.
Yeah, and that is a theme of what we saw here earlier in the week. A lot of times, if you get yourself locked into a battle, it'll slow you down enough that drivers behind will really be able to press their advantage based off of that. I really think that's what some of these guys are hoping to do. Here's Stephen Kemp, another one of those guys. He's back in 8th right now. Takes a little bit of a wider apex on the 41 of Curtis Crummel, but not able to get the speed down off of the hairpin.
Kemp riding behind, looking to see if he can catch up to the purple machine. Ahead of them, Bucket's got another good run, but I don't think he's going to have a chance here. Yeah, you can see him just staying in line in the corner of that shot before as we watch from Travis Brody. Brody wearing very appropriate attire for the Canadian race today.
Yeah, he really is in the Canadian tuxedo there, trying to make a move here on the 04 machine. Pokes his nose to the inside and not able to get it done there on Klaus Nielsen, but he is going to keep trying. I see all that luck he's got to put into the steering wheel.
Well, let's see how high he rates Nielsen as the 04 continues to fend him off down into 3 and 4. Just ahead of them, Robert Cottle in the 89, also leading the way. He's got at least a bit of a gap to the pair of them. Awful tight and a little look once again. Oh, a mistake from both of them. Neither made the apex.
Ooh, no, they did not, but I think that may be a little bit of a worse run there for Nielsen. Brody's going to have a look down to the inside of the next chicanes. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers. Who's going to be on the binders last? Brody pulls ahead. Is he able to hold on to it? Yes, he is.
Looks like Nielsen lost out in primetime wars that time. So the 0-2-0 up into 10th place. Although he's trying to see if he could have something down into the hairpin. Little defense from Travis into that corner as we come back to Bucket, who just about got side by side with Gomez, and now he's going to have a huge slipstream.
Yes, he is. Let's see if Bucket's able to do this. We ride on board with the driver cam. He's going to poke his nose to the inside as they come into the bridge. This is going to have to be a late move, but he's going to go for it. Sticks his nose down. There's contact between the two.
And a spin in front of him as well as a car goes off. Gomez loses spots. Ian Simon is the one that went off. It all kicks off at the exact same time. And the one that comes out the best of it is Bucket.
Yes, he does. We go back to this replay to see everything from up top here. It was Ian Simon up ahead of him in that green and black Porsche that had the problem there. You can see Bucket poking his nose to the inside, coming through the wall. Oh, I think there, Joe, yeah, he just took a little bit too much of that inside curbing, did Ian Gomez, and that sent him right around.
Wow, so that switched things up drastically. Bucket into fourth, only one position away from where he started. Gomez, unfortunately, falling to P7. It was Kemp and Krummel who managed to capture spots from that little error.
Yeah, so they're going to be counting their lucky stars for that move. We ride on board with the hood there of the number 8 of Ivan Gomez as he works his way around here, looking out the back now of Randall Ayers. There's Randall in the screen. That is Jalen Wen trying to close down on him behind.
When starting this race in 9th, slipped down to 12th already. It's not been the beginning that he's been looking for. Still in the early stages is a very wide exit from Ayers. Kind of opens the door briefly, but he gets the power down successfully. Will we see an attack from Wen down into the final chicane as he sizes him up, stays in the tire tracks, no poking his nose out quite yet. Almost looked like a little bit of a defensive move from Ayers, but by the time they hit the binders, nothing doing.
Yeah, Ayers, I think, just trying to be as cautious as he can, not giving Jalen Wen any sort of an advantage. He got that exit out of Quebec just right, which is what he needed to do, but Wen continuing to try to press that advantage and move himself up into that 11th place position.
Now we head up to 3rd. Lacroix is close to Dennis, but is still being held at arm's length. It's about half a second between the pair of them. They've lost touch with Chan by the tune of about 2.3 seconds. So they're not looking at the win at this stage, but that, of course, could change as things go on. I believe Rachel's been kind of following our driver that dropped through the field, Ed Nelson. Rachel, what's happening with Ed?
Well, Ed's just had a pretty rough time. In fact, almost at that exact moment, 79 had a bit of a roundabout moment in turn 10. That's Lyril Eddy. But he's been working his way back. He ended up right at the back of our field in 32nd. He's working his way forwards. He's currently in 28th. But traffic is pretty heavy from what we're seeing right now. Ed is going to fight back. And for a 5th place qualifying, it's going to be heartbreaking. But this is definitely a track where you can make places. So I still see him finishing top 15.
All right, we'll hold you on that one. I'm a bit surprised he hasn't got more spots since the start, considering his qualifying pace. And Ed Kemp taking a lot of curves, just bounding it over. Still sitting in the 6th position, sandwiched between Krummel and Gomez. All of them having to swing across the course, hit the brakes, and try to steer it into the Senna S.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of that concertina that we see through the double chicane. Ooh, jumping back into the field there. That's Jalen Wen making that move that we had talked about on Randall Ayers down to the inside of the first part of the Senna S and able to get it done. Ayers with a big check up behind. That was Jeremy Mazzariello that almost came into the back of him.
I think it was Patterson in the 29, but Mazzariello did get the spot from the 29 car and moved up. But yet again, we keep seeing these chain reactions work themselves down the field. As soon as one person makes a move, everybody pounces.
Yeah, everybody just absolutely jumping on it. You can see that massive check up there. We ride on board with the 16th place machine of Aaron Ambrosino right now as he tries to chase down the 29 of Michael Patterson in front of him. This is all that check up from that one move going down into the Senna S.
Nobody poking their nose out into 8th this time. Ayers ahead of Mazzariello. Patterson in the train. Ambrosino, Brett Holmes, Cocaire, James Sue. It goes all the way back to 21st position with Patrick Gill. This group we're watching from Cliff's roof cam at this point. Oh, and low contact behind him. Sue just got a bump from Gonzalez.
Yes, he did. A little bit of just a love tap there from the two of them, but both drivers are apologizing on the radio right now. No harm, no foul between the two of them.
Ivan Gomez still stuck behind Stephen Kemp after he lost that spot, getting a little bit of a hip check through the final corner. We'd have thought that as well we'd see the number 8 car managed to make inroads on that one. And Gonzalez, who was involved in that incident, has come into pit lane at a very early point in this race. That is interesting.
Yeah, that's a little bit early for what I would expect out of a pit window, and we're not seeing anything regarding a penalty from him, so not entirely sure what the issue is there.
All right, so now watching this group down the backstretch, I think Rachel's been able to rush over to that pit stall. Rachel, what have you got?
Yeah, we found out they actually had some slight damage, so this was unplanned, but they are in early. I think they're going to try and stretch this through the rest of the stint here. Whether that works or not, I don't know, but they had some small damage. They came in to get that taken care of because it's this early in the race. They wanted to make sure the car was running properly, but we'll have to see whether they can stretch or they'll have to make a splash. But it's definitely off sequence. It could be interesting.
Looking through the field right now, one driver who I've been keeping an eye on is Robert Cottle. He started in the 14th position, has worked his way up into the top 10. The Intermountain Region driver is looking to try and tie his best career finish of 7th position. He's on the right track to do that, but hopefully he doesn't do what he did the last few times he's been in a PCA race, and that's break his pedal mount on his sim rig. Of course, the Intermountain driver is also a autocross champion in his region, so he's looking forward and channeling his inner Derek Bell as he continues to race here in the halfway, as we close in towards the halfway point of tonight's race.
He needs to learn to coddle his equipment a little bit better, I think, from the sound of it. Meanwhile, Lacroix up here in P3 continues to inch forward on Dennis. It's down to 0.4 of a second briefly. Could we see a pass? Is this everything that Robert has as well? Is he holding back a little?
I'm not sure at this stage, Joe, but I mean, he's certainly going for it. Look how much of the curb he has taken there. Yeah, I think there is no question he is going for it here. He wants that P2.
Okay, so pushing the limits of the track and the car, the 64 takes it down into Lepingle. They can still see the leader in front of them. Stephen Kemp now, as we watch from on board, looking up ahead to the 41 of Crummell, and unfortunately spins the tires, catches it, but that'll cost him some speed.
Yes, it will, and it'll cost him speed at one of the most crucial parts of the track, so he may be left to be a little bit of a sitting duck here, depending. You can see those cars starting to close in as the draft starts to take effect.
Under braking into the wall of champions, but not literally, thankfully. Both of them off the turn. And look at that, I keep wanting to say Ivan Gomez. Going to have to drill that in my brain. Ivan Gomez giving a little bit of a look, taking a different line compared to them. And Randall Ayers. Oh no, Randall Ayers, is he our first victim of the Wall of Champions?
I think he might be, Joe. He definitely got a little bit friendly with it.
This was a strange incident, though. If we watch this, I went and looked myself. I've never seen a car cut through this part of the chicane. He must have had something go very wrong. Oh, did he get it looked like he got a shove, maybe.
Yeah, I think there may have been a little bit of contact there between an Ayers just catching the brunt of it. Let's watch it. Yep, that's exactly what it was. He got a little hello from behind. That is the 25 there that got into him. That's Jeremy Mazzariello.
And he gave a second one on the way out. Oh, man. If that doesn't summarize what it feels like after you get wrecked and towed to the pits, that just look of despondence as he sits with his arms down. Ivan Gomez now just behind Kemp, promoted up to 7th place at least. And Curtis Crummell still in front of the pair of them, but it's become now a race of 3. They've dropped those behind him. Oh, Cottle's in a side-by-side battle. Just behind them there you see, to his right, that's Travis Brody. How deep can he break into the final chicane? Pretty darn deep, and he is through.
That's about the second or third time we've seen Brody pull off a move like that. He is very confident on the binders here, that number 20 machine. There you see him on your screen as he is able to move up. He's in 8th place right now. He's only got about a second up the road until he finds himself on that train that we've been following a little bit of with Austin Bucket, Kurt Crummell, and Ivan Gomez.
So Brody now up into 8th. What can he do to continue to run down the road? Well, he's got to get by Stephen Kemp now. So, and Kemp definitely feeling the pressure. Look at him come in at that shallow line, trying to just ward off the 020.
Yeah, doing what he can to keep that car at bay, but that big train in front of him is what's causing him problems here at this point. He needs a little bit of clean air to run, but the 020 really looking feisty. We saw a little bit of moves going down there into that third set of chicanes in some of the earlier series.
Okay, a little bit of a drift to the left. Then you got to get on the binders. Oh, and not a complete drift to the left for Kemp. Just blocking the inside line for Brody. Robert Cottle still back there. He certainly love to get that spot back from Brody, but he doesn't get the corner exit that he needs. Stephen Kemp is going to have to continue to play defensive. He knows it. Look at that. He continues to just cover off those inside lines almost every corner that they've got heavy braking. Just making sure that Brody doesn't even think about it. Wasn't even close enough, though, so I'm a bit surprised that he's not losing more time.
Well, I think part of that was, Joe, is just trying to break the draft a little bit back to Travis Brody. Brody, in turn, though, has got to keep his eyes in the rearview mirror as well. Robert Cottle not letting that ghost go quite yet, all up the back of the 020 machine.
Lacroix is suddenly right on the rear bumper of Glenn Dennis. Let's see if he can snatch that P2 away. They're now 5.5 seconds away from Nicky Chan. It's come down to a battle for the best of the rest here on track. Riding on the roof of the 64 machine. Drops back just a little bit compared to those 210s he was before.
Yes, he is, and that may be a little strategic to try to just line things up. We're checking back here, riding on board with Austin Bucket. Now, this is Ivan Gomez and Curtis Crummell ahead of him. You can see that battle. Oh, did he pick up a slowdown?
Oh, no. He's got some wing damage on the rear of the car. Did he... Oh, this happened a while ago, it looks like. Oh, he hit the wall out of turn 7. The 21 just flirted with the exit a little too much, but it was the inside wall I'm seeing on my replay. Interesting. Here we've got it. Oh, it was before this. This is, let's see if we can dig this up. Nope, looks like we won't be able to see it. But this is actually good timing because it's time to bring you the Midway Race Report, brought to you by Michelin. Michelin is the presenting partner for the club class in 2021, as well as the official tire of IMSA. They also manufacture and sell tires for every type of vehicle, including airplanes, automobiles, bicycles, earth movers, farm equipment, heavy-duty trucks, and motorcycles. Michelin also offers a full range of innovative services and solutions that help make mobility safer, more efficient, and more environmentally friendly. Find more about Michelin at michelinman.com. Rachel?
Thank you very much. In fact, I actually use Michelin tires on my mountain bike, so they are always worth running. First place right now, Nicky Chan in the 981, Upper Canada region driver from zone number 1. So far has had a fantastic day. Started first, running first. Second place is going to be Glenn Dennis, one of our favourites, of course, the Potomac region driver of zone 2. And that 20 machine is putting on a good show here. Started in second as well, as they are running in second. However, they are 5.5 seconds adrift of the Canadian. In third place, in the second slice of bread in the Canadian sandwich of Glenn Dennis, Robert Lacroix in the Rennsport region of Zone 1. The 64 car is putting some work in here. They started fourth today, gain of 1. Curtis Crummell is in P4. There's the 41 car from the Carolinas region of Zone 3. So far up 8 positions. Biggest move in the top 5. They are up 8 positions. After that, we have Ivan Gomez in the 8 car from the Maverick region, a Texan here in Montreal. Zone number 5 there for him. He's up from 8th place, so that's 3 spots gained. The man of the Canadian tuxedo is Travis Brody. He is in the 020, up from 10th to 6th right now, so that's a gain of 4. And why does he have to roll the sleeves as well? It's just making it worse. He just look... So little respect for our Canadian friends. Ah, Travis. P number 7 is going to be tonight Stephen Kemp from the Nordstern region in the 37 car. A good shot of that MPI rig there we're seeing for him. That car started in 7th, running in 7th. Robert Cottle is in the 8th place, started 14th, so he's up 6 spots today. Cottle, of course, from the Intermountain region of zone number 9. So the mountain man has been mountain stomping his pedal bracket, so that could be why it's breaking. And that joke earlier was atrocious, and I apologize on behalf of the entire podium team. P9 is going to be Klaus Nielsen from the Lone Star region of Texas, so number 5. The 04 car has started from 11th up 2 to 9th. J.R. Gregory there from the Oregon region of 218. No dysentery on this Oregon trail. The 218 car is so far up 8 spots from 18th. Jalen Wen is definitely having a worse day right now of our Canadian drivers. They are currently back 2 spots from 9th where they started in that 26 car, hoping to regain some of that traffic as they have Kemp ahead of them. 12th place tonight is Cliff Kea, Carolina's region driver of Zone 3 in the 008, currently up 7 spots from 19th where they began in a gorgeous dazzle pattern red car. As I meant to distract me from seeing it, I thought we wanted to see the sponsors. It's camouflage, I can't see it, where's the car? Pit stop starting now, so you have to excuse us. This is 14th place Patrick Gill from the central Wisconsin region of Zone 13. He is currently up from Patrick Gill. There we go. He's up from 24. 10 spots gained. Biggest mover there in top 15. And 15th place will be Chris Savo from the Hudson Valley region at the 31 car. And a stunning Magnum Motorsports machine there. The Zone 1 driver so far is up from 26th to 15th. So they're equal with Patrick Gill on places gained. Impressive. Taylor?
Certainly is. We move back to the Golden Gate region's very own Logan Grotto, who is in the 16th position after starting in 27th on a good little run here. Of course, the number 17 in that nice blue and dark blue shade Porsche as he works his way through, heading towards Le Epingal. Back in the 18th position is Andrew Elson from the Hudson Will Waldron. The 17th position from the Hudson Champlain region in car 22. He's worked his way up nicely as he is continually started in the 22nd position. 18th spot goes right behind him, and that is going to be the number 54 of Andrew Elson, who started in the 29th position. A nice gain for the Peach State region driver. And let's see, is this car actually a road map? That's what it looks like to me. Got a couple of streets and a couple of other areas in that. Yeah, it's got a couple of street names on there as he will come down pit road. With that, we'll move on to car number 1 of Gary Rice, who is right behind him, and he has gained up to a little over 11 spots, the Peach State region driver, in a very colorful Porsche 911 GT3R, as he'll gain a couple of more spots. Moving on down to, I believe we're going to go to 20th position. That's Austin Bucket, Ian Simon, we also talked about earlier. So let's go to 22nd position. There you see Austin Bucket with his in-car camera. So the 21st position, of course, is Ian Simon. 22nd is the next car we're going to talk about, Michael Patterson, as you see the Whiskey Bay region driver. Michael Patterson from the Longhorn region having a very strong run after he started a little bit towards the back of the field in 16th. He's fallen back, but will recycle his way up for the Matrix Motorsports Purple. Moving on to 23rd is Ivan Gomez in the number 8, as he is trying to work his way through. The Maverick region driver not having the best of runs here as he is trying to recover after his pit stops. As we move on to 24th position, that's Patrick Gill in the 111, the Central Wisconsin driver, as he is trying to work his way up. Andrew Elson, we talked about the next car. The first car 1 lap down in 26 is Mike Neiden from the Shoenshine region in that red, white, and blue Porsche, his most famous colors that he always drives in no matter the Porsche. 27th is Lyle Eddy from the Pacific Northwest region in car 79 in the orange car as he works his way through this little short chicane here. The Jägermeister Porsche, another iconic Porsche livery that we've seen in the 70s and early 80s. 28th is Brett Holmes from the Las Vegas region, working his way up through the field right now. Not having the best of nights after starting 20th. He's dropped back 8 spots. Next up is Randall Ayers, who is right behind him. Not also having the best of nights. Ran into some trouble in the early stages as he is sitting in that 29th position. There you see him trying to refocus, get himself going. Emotions are high. Maybe he will try to see if he can get back on the lead lap before it's all said and done. And rounding out your top 30 is Albie Blanco from the Carolinas region. That beautiful Rothmans Porsche livery. Another iconic livery and logos that you would see on a Porsche back in the early 80s, all the way through the 80s, as a matter of fact. And then, of course, the next few cars, Ken Estridge is 31st, and then Ed Nelson is out of tonight's race in 32nd.
This concludes tonight's Midway Race Report, brought to you by Michelin. Big thanks to Michelin as well as Rachel and Taylor. And we are in the thick of the pit stops with Nicky Chan already having taken his quite early. And it looks like that is not going to change the order between himself and Denison Lacroix. Although Robert Lacroix has dropped back from Dennis by multiple seconds in that sequence. Still, we're waiting on Robert Cottle to pit along with Aaron Ambrosino. Cottle leads, Ambrosino jumps up to third, but they will hand those back after the stops. We are still at 16 minutes left to go here in today's race. We hop on board once again with Kemp in 8th.
Yeah, and even after the pit stops, you can see there, Joe, that he has continued to hold on to the back of that number 41 machine of Curtis Crummell. Do a really good job here. You just see the focus and looking through the corners there from Kemp.
And we've got trivia ready from Taylor, as usual. What kind of stuff do you have for us tonight, Taylor?
But we're going to go a little bit virtual with the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. They actually raced at Montreal earlier this year with their Porsche GT3 Cup cars. We're going to ask for the sprint race winner as well as the feature race winner for this event. So we're looking for 2 different winners. And I gotta say, one of them is pretty much well known if you guys tuned into the eNASCAR race over this past week on Tuesday. So we're looking for 2 winners here. The winner of the sprint race and the main race for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports 2 Super Cup.
Running down the rowing lake along Casino Straight, and Crummell still ahead of Kemp, although he gets within about a car length. Hopping on board with the Zone 10 driver coming down the front stretch. They're dead even off that last chicane. Nobody really able to gain any ground.
Yeah, they most certainly are not. It just looks like these 2 cars are perfectly evenly matched there as they pass Robert Cottle. That's Cottle, though, coming out of the pits. This is about to be a 3-way battle, Joe.
Cottle very nearly got out ahead of them. And as they come down through 3 and 4, it seems that 89 has got his work cut out for him. Again, with this being so much like a street course with walls on either side all the way throughout, one little mistake could not just cost you a position, but the race itself.
Yeah, it very much could. And that little mistake, as simple as just popping into the box a little bit too late or whatever, that's Nicky Chan ahead. Joe, what happened to Nicky Chan? This is Glenn Dennis. This is a battle for the lead.
I'm checking real quick to see if I can find a mistake. Oh, Chan went off in turn 3 this lap. The 981 just outbraked himself, and that gave away just enough time that Dennis now has a glimpse of hope.
He does indeed, but I will say this, Nicky Chan's fastest lap is 0.4 of a second faster than Dennis, so Chan's just going to have to put the pedal to the metal here and try to break out of the draft as much as possible.
Well, hopefully Taylor's neutralized the bomb in his room, but Taylor, it sounds like somebody's neutralized this trivia.
They certainly did. It goes to Liam Razitas, as good is Joshua Rogers and Mitchell DeYoung, who won those 2 races in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. So congratulations, Liam, on getting that correct.
That was a quick one. We still got 13 minutes left to go here in this race. Watching from Stephen Kemp. I'm keeping half an eye on that battle for the lead as well. Dennis is definitely pushing because he got squirrely out of four. Didn't lose time, but boy, was that scary. The 37 heading into that section right now as we come back to the onboard with the 20 car.
Yeah, we jump on board with Glenn Dennis here. You can see Chan starting to pull away a little bit. I'm looking at their speed differentials as they get off the corner, but I've got to give credit here to Glenn Dennis. He is holding on to that number 981 machine the best he can.
And again, these are both of our winners from the previous two events. So they're going to be hungry, and they both know how to win here in the PCA Sim Racing Series presented by Hagerty. Nicky Chan looking over his rear wing at Glenn Dennis. They're still only about 1.8 seconds ahead of Lacroix, so you'll catch glimpses of him there in the background in the green and black number 64. It could become a three-car fight for the win. That was a little awkward from Chan, and here comes Dennis. He's got to run, covering the inside. Nicky Chan pulls to the left-hand side, down into the braking for turn one. A little bit later, Dennis might have something. No, he's into the grass, just takes it in too deep.
Takes it in too deep, but he's still able to carry some pretty decent momentum around the outside of the Senna S, so that'll keep him at least within a half a second of Chan in front of him. He's just got to hope that that wasn't the one opportunity he has here tonight.
And that little back and forth is all Lacroix needed. It's down to 1 second. As soon as they get to a long stretch, he's going to start feeling that slipstream. Here we see the distance as we ride on his roof.
Yeah, exactly. And remember earlier in the broadcast, Joe, we were talking about how you want to avoid some of these close side-by-side battles because it can draw drivers into you. Well, that's exactly what's happening here.
Okay, down to 9/10 of a second, but Dennis looks like he's starting to drop back somewhat. 7/10 behind Nicky Chan. Is he settling down, trying to keep from giving more opportunities to the 64 behind? They all woe up into Lepingle, looking to get the throttle down, and look at how much the rear just complains from the 981.
Yeah, it's getting real squirrely. Track temperatures are only about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, so I don't think it's a massive amount of overheating there from the 981. He may just be running it a little rough, but there you see the close-in. Glenn Dennis is definitely faster than Nicky Chan with the help of that draft. Big chunk of the curves there, though, for the 981 as they come onto the main straight.
And remember, pit stops are over, so if they want to make a pass, they've got to do it on track here in these final 10 minutes of the event. This time, it's a lot more clear for Nicky Chan. No side-by-side action into the Senna S. Dennis is going to have to regroup as we hop on board the helmet cam, watching them fly towards turn 3.
Yes, we do. Here they go down into turn 3. Chan able to stretch that advantage by about 0.2 of a second. He was 0.4 of a second faster on that last lap, but I think a lot of that back to Glenn Dennis can be chalked up to that failed move. Chan looks like he's starting to exert a little bit of an advantage here if he can.
Now onto the back stretch, and I wonder where are we on lap traffic? They are approaching some, I will say. I think the 30 car, James Soon, is up the road. That'll be the first of them that they'll encounter. Then they've got Mike Knighton, and then there's a long way to the next car. So maybe only 2 opportunities for a pit in this as we hop a little bit farther back. This is on board with Cottle and Crummel just in front. Whoa! That was heavy braking into that corner.
Yes, it was, and able to hold on to that well. That is definitely a seat of your pants moment there, but able to hold everything well. This is the battle for 6 that we continue to watch. It's now all down to the exit out of the hairpin.
Which was a little bad for Crummel as he brushed the outside wall, taking it a little too wide. Cottle sees it. He's got a great opportunity. He'll have the slipstream as he sizes up the purple number 41. Down to the inside, too late to shut the door. Tries to squeeze him a little too much, some contact. Cottle can't make the corner, but it looks like Crummel will. And Cottle already on the radio, a little unhappy.
Yeah, not happy with that move at all, and I can't exactly say I blame him. That did look like a little bit of a pinch from my perspective.
I think that contact must have upset the car right when he needed to get on the binders, too. Probably why he just outbraked himself. Yeah, look at that. Just starts to drift across and kept going. Ooh. Good job not spinning the car out, though, into the corner. Could have easily gone worse. And he is definitely on the radio to race control. So Cottle, yeah, I don't blame him on that one. Meanwhile, Nicky Chan, 2 seconds ahead of Dennis. Did we have a problem with Lacroix? Lacroix is 5.5 seconds behind Glenn Dennis. There's something must have been massively wrong. And I think it was a cut course penalty on lap 22.
I think it may have been as well. Lacroix really dropping back there off of the back, kind of running in a race all by himself now.
This is a strange one. Ivan Gomez, how did he wind up down in 16th? He was racing for 6th and 7th place earlier on in this race. And now Chris Zabo is the one in front of him. A little bit of a defensive move. Hearing that Gomez had a very long stop, and that is curious. I'm not sure what caused that.
Yeah, I'm not sure as well, Joe, but he is now locked in this battle all the way down in the field, right on board with Ian Simon. Remember, Ian was way up in the order. He has just fallen down. It looks like just kind of not running the best laps out there.
Still up into 12th place, Simon, after a bit of a problem earlier on. Trying to figure out where our other driver that had issues was. And I can't quite, oh, Nelson's out of this race, excuse me. So he's long gone, unfortunately. Oh, and down to the inside, into the hairpin. Nice textbook out-braking maneuver. That was Sue overtaking Knighton for 25th position.
Yes, it was. So a battle down in the field, but the battle's never stopping here. Right on board with Robert Cottle. He's still trying to catch up to back up Curtis Crummell right now. That is that purple Porsche right ahead of him.
Haven't seen any action from the stewards on that incident yet. Could be something that is applied post-race as well. And Cottle certainly won't be happy if he loses that position due to that little contact. Meanwhile, sounds like we've got some information about the track from Rachel. What have you got?
Well, we certainly do. Now, everyone's very familiar with the Wall of Champions, but that's not how it started. Now, originally, it was simply a barrier on the exit of the final corner with Bienvenue au Québec written across it, or Welcome to Quebec. And, well, it got pressed into the Wall of Champions following the 1999 Canadian Grand Prix when Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher, and Jacques Villeneuve each suffered race-ending collisions with the wall in the same race. Of course, all of them former and current champions at the time. And since then, Button has been into it, Vettel's been into it, so many people, and never mind just champions. We've had Zonta, Coulthard, Montoya, Monteiro, so many drivers have been into that wall, and in iRacing, even more. But who knew that welcoming people to Quebec could end your race? I could make a statement about that, but
yeah, that's a rough welcome.
That's a very rough welcome. That's a Detroit welcome right there.
Exactly. As Nelson is welcoming himself to the rear bumper here of Crummell now. And looks like Cottle has gotten that spot back. I'm not sure if we saw that on screen. I was looking elsewhere. And Robert back into P6. Might lose another one with Nelson being so close behind there.
Yeah, that's certainly up for attack here. That's the 64 of Klaus Nelson trying to make that move in. He's only about right now 0.4 of a second back, drawing in closer all the while, courtesy of that draft.
And that was a battle through all the way through a couple corners from turn 2 to 4 between Crummell and Cottle. Involved a little bit of contact between them once again. So things getting kind of rough out there here in the club class as we watch from on board Zabo. And he's chasing Gomez. Gomez doesn't defend, lets him have the inside. Wheel to wheel through the final chicane. So wheel spin, unfortunately, is going to scupper the 31.
And that will allow that 8 machine on the way through. Ivan Gomez up into 15th spot. Right now on the hood of Michael Patterson. That is a little bit of a fight back ahead of him. Zabo not letting the ghost go quite yet.
Certainly not. Patterson hoping that continues on, since that is for position. Both of them up in front of him, down through 3 and 4. Each of them trying to get as close to the wall as they dare here in these final laps, but Nicky Chan isn't close to anybody. It's up to 3.5 seconds back to Glenn Dennis after the 20 briefly thought that he could maybe put one over on the 981 car.
That just goes to show you what can happen sometimes, Joe, in a series like this. You've got one shot, one opportunity to be able to get that pass done, and if you can't sell it, it will not work.
All right, Simon, who we ride on board with, still down many positions from the start of his race. Ken Eskridge just going to let them through politely on the right-hand side of the track, but I don't think Simon's got enough of a run here to really make something stick. We're going to get the white flag next time by the way, as Nicky Chan has just a little more than 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, Chan just holding that out here. We keep an eye, though, back here. That is that battle that we were watching. Ian Simon trying to close in on Cliff Kayer ahead of him. We ride on board with the hood of Ian Simon right now as he closes in through the Senna S.
Boy, this has been some fantastic racing. And once again, a single DNF here today. This is an incredible credit to the skill of the drivers here in the club class. For all of our naysaying, for all that we had played that up coming into this week, I'm very proud of these drivers. And Simon's trying to make plenty of his fans proud as well as he continues to pressurize the 008, see if he can just get that one more spot.
He's trying to get it, but he is running out of opportunities as they make their way through that final set of chicanes before they get to the hairpin. He is running out of time, running out of chances.
Cliff Kayer looking back at him. He's awful close here, but no, under braking. Doesn't try it. Maybe he's thinking about here, coming down the rowing lake. Can he get a better exit? Just isn't there for the green, white, and black number 87 car. Off to the side, Brett Holmes, as they both try to steal some draft off of the 6 car. Still doesn't give anything to Ian.
No, he does not, but they're trying it back here, heavy under braking, seeing if there's anything to have a little bit more of the curbing there for Ian. That may cost him, but he's still able to keep this close. The gap is under 0.4 of a second.
Half a lap to go now. White flag has been waved by Barney for Nicky Chan. They see him putting a lap down on James Hsu. 24 of them still left on the lead lap, though. That is easily the majority of the field here today. What a run here for Nicky Chan. Wasn't able to take it last round in Barber, but has bounced back with quite a recovery here today. And this will definitely extend the lead over Glenn Dennis now that they've come in tied in this round. The red and white car and the 981 hailing from Canada will have reason to celebrate on one of his home circuits. Just one last turn through the wall of champions, and he's certainly going to be a champion here today at Montreal. Nicky Chan is your winner for Event 3.
A great run there for Nicky and a valiant effort by Glenn Dennis to try to hold back onto Nicky Chan, but just fell a little bit short there. Robert Lacroix will round out your podium. We follow here that big battle that we were keeping an eye on. This is Ian Simon trying one last time to catch in on Cliff Kayer.
He's right there. He's only 0.3 of a second up the road. But that just looks a bridge too far to me. He'll have to be quite ambitious, and he's not. Maybe focusing on the exit. He's looking pretty good, but it's still just out of reach. Cliff, great job to the 008 for sticking up on that one and finishing in 11th. Behind them, we got a battle for 16th between Szabo and Patterson, but I think the 31 will keep him away. Oh, and a position for Waldron just now into the final corner. Grado is not able to respond. The 22 snatches that one up.
That just goes to show you've got to stay on your toes until that very final corner. A great move there from Will Waldron, just catching Grado napping. Jump back here. This is the 111 of Patrick Gill as he'll come across in what looks like 24th.
Yep, last one on the lead lap, which will take us to our results here at the end of this race. And it was Nikki Chan who took the victory from the pole. Glendennis finishing second, but it certainly was not for certain until the checkered flag fell. Robert Lacroix at times looked like he maybe could have challenged those top two, but he really fell off at the end. It was 11 seconds away from the leader for that third place. Travis Brody from 10th to 4th. Nice gains as Stephen Kemp finished P5. Cottle from 14th to 6th today as Curtis Crummell was 7th and Klaus Nielsen 8th. Then it was Jalen Nguyen in 9th. J.R. Gregory rounds out your top 10.
Coming home in 11th, it was Cliff Kayer, who was able to hold off Ian Simon behind him, who came home in 12th. Austin Bucket was 13th, and Aaron Ambrosino was 14th. 15th was Ivan Gomez, followed by Chris Sabo, with Michael Patterson in 17th, and Will Waldron getting that last lap maneuver done to come home 18th over Logan Grado. Rounding out your top 20, it's Andrew Elsel.
Jeremy Mazzarello was 21st as Gonzalez was 22nd. Gary Reese going up from 30th to 27th. A pretty good job there. Patrick Gill, as we mentioned, last one on the lead lap, 24th. Sue was 25th today as Naiden was 26th. Eddie, 27th. Brett Holmes, 28th. And Blanco in 29th. Last of the top 30 was Ayers. Eskridge was the last one to finish in 31st, with poor Ed Nelson starting in 5th and being the only DNF. I do believe we have our winner here to talk to us, Nikki Chan. Nikki, congratulations. But I have to ask you about the pit stop strategy. We so often see these GT cars tend to go long in pit stop races, but you elected to pit earlier than anybody around you. Why?
Yeah, I saw a car, I can't remember who it was, a relative, about 10 seconds ahead. And I didn't want him to block my pit entry for the late break. So I decided to take an early pit. Ironically, he pitted as I pitted on that lap as well. So that didn't really work out. But it was okay in the end, I guess.
All's well that ends well. Hailing from Club Canada, this one's got to feel a little bit special. Does it mean a lot to you to get to win in Montreal?
Yeah, I think it's certainly sort of not quite the home track advantage, but they're our next door neighbor, and so it feels great to win in Montreal. And in lieu of the season not having most sports, so this is sort of my effort to represent in Canada. So,
and represent, you did well. Who helped make this victory happen today?
Well, certainly our sponsors, Hagerty and Michelin for, putting this together. But I really need to give a shout out to some of our UCR buddies and our zone buddies for making it easy for me in the last couple of laps where, I was getting up on traffic, and they just really let me by quite easily, and we had good communication. So thank you to Mike and James.
Great stuff there from Nikki Chan, our victor here for Event 3. And DJ has caught up with Glendennis, who just had a glimmer of hope for a moment, but couldn't land the win.
Indeed. Glenn, talk me through your mindset there. You came so close behind Nikki and almost had that move done, but still a second has got to feel good here in a very tough field.
Yeah, really happy with second place today. We spent a lot of time practicing, just, being consistent on long stints, understand what the tires are going to do over long stints, and just trying to have, decent, consistent race pace. It's hard to pass here. So, we let qualifying play out, and Nikki was the faster car today. And I want to say congratulations to him, but we're really happy to bring home P2.
Well, it's obviously a long season, and we head to a new sort of stranger track in Auto Club next. Are you focusing on the championship? Or are you focusing race to race? How do you think you're going to go at Auto Club? That's about 8 questions I threw at you, but what do you think?
Yeah, so Auto Club is it's really an outlier in sort of the tracks we do. It's a combination of an oval with high banking, and then it's got some long sort of airport pavement strips, and then it's got an infield that's literally like an autocross kind of field full of cones. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. In terms of strategy, I tend to sort of see where my pace is relative to the field. If I think I've got a shot for the win, I'll focus on the win. But if it looks like it's better to play the long game based on sort of where we are in the ranking, then I'll focus on that. Try and optimize for both.
Well, that sounds like a pretty solid strategy to me. Anybody you want to thank for this P2 tonight?
Sure. Of course, want to thank our sponsors, Hagerty, Michelin, Podium Esports, and then also Matrix Motorsports for all the work that they help us put in during the week in practice and training. All of the PCA Sim racers and coaches for the track guides, and the pros and the driving instructors helping everybody out. A lot of fun, and thanks to you guys for doing what you do. You guys always make it a lot of fun. Thanks.
Well, we are always happy to do it. Thank you. That was your second place finisher, Glenn Dennis. And now I believe, Rachel, you've caught up with Robert Lacroix.
I have indeed. Robert, a fantastic run today, bringing that thing home in third place. But one thing I actually want to ask with you is, what happened towards the end there? Because we saw you drop a lot of time all of a sudden. Was it fuel saving?
No, I got to slow down because I hit the last chicane too hard, to cut it too much.
Unfortunate, but still a solid podium result here today. Is this track you're pretty comfortable with, of course, it being one of your home nation's tracks?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually live 5 minutes from the track, so I bike it a lot. You can't really race it at all, but I have seen it a lot.
Well, fantastic. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or thank?
Absolutely. I'd like to thank the PCA, number one, for putting this together, and the sim racing team. It's awesome competition. And also like to thank you guys for such great commentary. It's really great. Thank you very much for that. And finally, I'd like to thank SH Racing, who take care of me in the real world, for learning how to do this for real. So thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Robert, and we'll hopefully see you soon again.
Yes, I hope to make it back here at some point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's Robert Lacroix coming home today in third.
That's going to round out our interviews here for this race, but we have another one yet to come here in PCA Sim Racing, presented by Hagerty Motorsports. It is the Pro Drivers. The Pro Club is up next. Definitely stick around for that one, because more 45 minutes of racing Porsches around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is coming your way.
Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at hagerty.com. PCA Sim Racing is proud to have Hagerty Motorsports as its 2021 title sponsor.
Well, after that first race there with the Club Series, we now head over to the pros. Welcome back here to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the PCA Sim Racing Series presented by Hagerty. This has been where the big boys come out and start to ply their trade. And up at the top of it, it has been Jason Lisner leading by only 4 points over Rafael Amorim so far in the series. Leif Peterson, of course, sits in that third position, tied with Christopher Pies at 318 points. There it separates with Justin Tsang and then Rutsitas and Walsh tied for 6th and 7th. You've got Huth, Schum, and Braun rounding out your top 10 after 2 events completed so far here for the pros. And this should be fun to watch. Okay, so I'm not sure, DJ, if this is setting expectations way too high. We had a single DNF last round. We had very few on Wednesday. How can the pros live up to that?
I mean, let's hope for no DNFs at this point. And from what we've seen in the racing across the PCA in these past 3 races, I don't think that is a crazy thing to ask for. We have seen good, clean, fair racing. Yeah, we've seen some banging doors here and there, but at the same time, it has all been really respectful, and it is exactly the kind of stuff we've come to expect, frankly, around the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, that it just always seems to present great races. So we ride on board here with David Craig. He rides around down that famous casino straight.
Yeah, they're in the midst of warm-up currently since they've already finished their qualifying. So drivers are just kind of taking some extra time to try and cycle their way around and make sure that they can get every last inch out of this track, because they're certainly going to need it to take the win here today, no doubt. Checking to see if we've got Lisner with us, and I actually do not see him on the track. Interesting stuff. Amorim is here, though. They do get a drop round, so Lisner's going to have to rely on that. He's going to have a 0 in one of his columns, unfortunately.
That's not going to be good for him in the championship, but as we cycle through all of the drivers here that have cams, we are very happy to see that Chris Braun right here riding around, currently P16 in this warm-up. Really great setup there for Chris.
One of our drivers here today is Derwin Kostanek in the 190. Taylor's got some information on him.
Yeah, Derwin Kostanek is one of the Canadian drivers that are competing in today's event. He's been sim racing for about 4.5 years, the Wild Rose region driver, looking to see if he can maybe get a home victory here in his home country. He's a Wild West Zone Season 1 and Season 2 champion, which is one of the other PCA series that they host for the PCA Sim Racing event. Of course, his favorite driver when it comes to racing is none other than the late, great Greg Moore from IndyCar. And he's working on his way to through, but his favorite Porsche, of course, is none other than the 2000 Boxster S, his own famous Porsche that he loves to drive around in. And the reason why you see the 190, well, that's his favorite World War II fighter plane.
Yeah, speaking of Greg Moore, I'm looking at this livery, and it does feel quite familiar. So, as someone who grew up watching IndyCar in the 90s, I always love seeing those kind of players in inspired paint schemes on race cars, and certainly looks fine on this GT3 Porsche. But Rodney Campbell, for what it's worth, is our current fastest driver in the warm-up. here today, and actually has only sat 3 laps. He's parked it since then, so he feels pretty confident, it seems, after that one. But it is now time for our sponsor here for today's race. And of course, it is brought to you by none other than Porsche. Porsche is more than a sports car. It's a way of life for all of us, and we appreciate their support of PCA Sim Racing as the Pro Class sponsor. With a recent sub-7-minute lap at the Nurburgring in the GT3 and the arrival of the all-new 992 GT3 Cup car to the U.S., Porsche's dedication to motorsports is stronger than ever. Find more about Porsche at Porsche.com. Let's head on over to our grid for today, and it is instead Justin Sang, who is not our leader in the points, who is going to be starting from the point. Amarim, who's second in the points, starts in that same spot here on the grid. Kostanek with a great qualifying in P3. Pies rounding out that second row is followed by Jordan Dyer in 5th. It is Chris Brown in the 6th position. Rutsitas is P7 and Robert Rose in 8th. And row 5 has Albano on the inside and Sedal in 10th.
Starting off in 11th will be Rodney Campbell, followed by David Craig with Todd Panic and Jean-Paul Lenoir in 14th. Dewey Kang is 15th, followed by James Patak in 16th. Greg Fullwood lines up in 17th, followed by Joe Steifel and Rick Reisenberg, with Julian Velez rounding out your top 20.
21st goes to Stephen Chen, Joe Sinclair 22nd, and Charles Yao 23rd. Christian Rava, P24 in the quarter-century mark, goes to Alberto Fonseca. Jacob Schum was the last one to set a qualifying time. Robert Rattray rounding out the field in 27th. So 27 cars, one of the smaller fields that we're seeing so far this week for our event at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. But as we keep mentioning, this is where things get super intense, and there's going to be no quarter given or asked today, DJ.
No, there isn't, and we've talked multiple times about the potential kerfluffle going down into turn 1, and I gotta say, this is another opportunity for it. You see all of the drivers there on your screen getting ready for it, getting ready to go. It is time to get racing, and Joe, this is gonna be a great battle.
Can Amarim manage to take this one away from our pole sitter of Justin Sang as we wait for them to come through? He came off of a win last week at Barber Motorsports Park, and they're being held a long time as finally the green flag is waved. Sang's not looking too hot on the start. Here comes Amarim around the outside, looking to break deep. Can he hold on the long way around? It looks like no, he's going to get chopped off into the corner. No, he's given space, and this allows the battle to continue farther in the back. Nobody spinning out amongst the pro class drivers. Sang finally solidifies the lead. His third is up for grabs. Pies side by side with Kostanek, who gives it up.
Yeah, Kostanek giving that up there to Chris Pies as they work their way around, trying to go as hard as they can. A little bit of side-by-side battle there in the back, but everybody's starting to get into single file here as they work their way through the second set of chicanes.
They know it's a long race. They know they're going to have to hold steady here and can't risk things this early on. So Sang, Amarim, Pies, your podium down into turn 8, starting to stretch away a little bit from Kostanek, who's still being chased by Dyer.
Yes, Dyer trying to close in the best that he can. You see those little moves there and that. We ride on board with Amarim right here as he closes up in the concertina effect through the hairpin. The 3 leaders starting to break out in the front is, I think that was a little bit out of limb in the back there that got people side by side and checked up.
Yeah, that's Kostanek with Dyer next to him. We're on board with Pies as they come down the Casino Straight, but it's going to be a battle of the latest breakers into this last chicane. Kostanek's on the outside. How late does he dare? Not late enough. Here comes Dyer to take that 4th away.
That is a move we haven't seen a whole lot of here today, Joe, but that has allowed a little checkup. Woo-hoo-hoo. There is some fun in the background. That's the 258 of Chris Braun starting to get a little bit spicy.
Matthew Siddall, unfortunately, spinning out in the last corner. Not sure if he had help or not, but he gets it going once again. Look at how tight that they're fighting in here. And poor Chris Braun has got Robert Rose all over his rear bumper.
Well, this is a little bit reminiscent of what we've seen earlier in the week, Joe. That was a little bit of a look there from Robert Rose trying to go down through that tricky area. But, you make a mistake. Oh, it's Rose again. Very, very aggressive on Chris Braun. But you make a mistake, you get caught up into a battle. That's going to allow for exactly this. That is Ruditz trying to make a move down to the inside of Braun.
Ruditz has a nose to the inside and is much deeper on the binders than Rose. So give Liam P7. This has been great for Chris Braun. He's finally got himself a little bit of breathing room and has pulled away. Some frantic first laps, everybody eager to try and make it stick.
Yeah, nobody wanting to give away any sort of track's position here. We ride on board with Christian Rava back in 23rd. Right now, you can see that big train forming ahead. Oh, that was Sadal, I think, that had a little bit of an off there.
And Yao managing to outgun Sinclair off of the hairpin, off of Lupingle. So they drift across the track, down through the casino straight. Looks like Sinclair's a little close, but not close enough.
Yeah, not able to get it done. We're normally seeing that you need to be within about 0.3 of a second coming off of that final hairpin to get the move done. Looking out the back, though, and riding on board with your current leader, Justin Sang, as he pilots his way through that first set of chicanes, able to hold off Amarin here for the moment.
Getting very close to the walls around here. Ooh, and under braking, Amarim closes in. Pies doesn't seem to be nearly as good on the binders and starts to fall away from the pair of them. Top three have separated from Dyer by about 2.5 seconds. We were only on lap 3.
Yeah, so that is a definite pull away there for the top three. A dire sign for Jordan Dyer, it has to be said, but he has got his own battles to contend with. We ride on board with the 0-5 machine right now as he tries to close in on Chris Brown.
258 covers him off down to the braking of Lupingle, but this shallow entry is not going to help him. Look at how wide he is coming off the turn. Ruditz knows it. As we watch, he already is glancing in the mirrors, just giving little pokes off to the side, trying to see if he is on a charge, but it doesn't appear to be the case.
No, I don't think that's going to be close enough. Up ahead of them, it looked like a little bit of a look there for Derwin Kasternak on Jordan Dyer, but that's not going to be enough. Ooh, both sets of those cars, though, very, very close.
Up here with Kasternak, watching Jordan's rear bumper blow up into the Senna S. Different lines between the pair of them, but nobody looking like they're finding an advantage out of it. Off the turn, little bit of a crest as they then plunge down slightly into turn 3. Just making sure that the mirrors of Jordan stay full of that blue and white 190.
Yeah, indeed, just trying to see if they can force a little bit of an error with this being a semi-permanent circuit and the wall so close. That little bitty error can cause some problems. We ride on board here with Chris Yao. God, you can tell we are in the pro division, Joe. These drivers getting so close to the walls.
Even though I know German, when I see that exit sign, I still giggle a little bit. But meanwhile, as we watch Charles Yao continue to wheel his way around, boy, he got a little loose off of turn 7. Thankfully, didn't hit anything, it seems, as we come back to Justin Sang.
We do indeed, and as you said, Rafael Amarin here just keeping that pressure up. There's a little look in the mirror, I think, for Sang, probably checking his relatives. But Amarin just keeping that pressure up. Sang was standing it quite well. And Taylor, I believe you've got some information on our second place driver.
Seems we'll have to hit the headset a little bit of Taylor's a little bit again because his wiring is messed up. Here we go. We've got it.
Rafael Amarin has been in the PCA for about 18 months now. In fact, last series in Series 6, he picked up 3 wins and finished second in the points standings. Of course, we're showcasing his talent here as he also is a competitor in real-world competition, as you see him driving in that Brumos-colored Porsche. And one of the other activities he loves to try and do when it comes to the PCA is compete in the autocross as well as also in the high-performance driving experiences that the PCA comes together with.
And a second place will still be a good points haul for him today if he doesn't manage to overtake Justin. Can't give up too many throughout the season as we come back to Rodney Campbell. For some reason, James Tack went off course in the Lapingle hairpin before and then parked it for a long time. I suspect he may have had some sort of technical issues. We'll try and investigate on that a little later as we watch over the rear wing of Craig.
Yeah, and this is Rodney Campbell closing in behind. We're really seeing a lot of two-car battles starting to break out. Ooh, we are on board at the right time because that is Campbell trying to make the move down to the inside. Is he going to outbrake himself into the hairpin? Ooh, check up there for David Craig. And it looks like for now, Rodney Campbell is up into ninth.
Put another in the can for Campbell. The 62 has got to have to play defense. Craig is watching him, covers the very middle of the road, takes the shallow line. He's going to take the door that's open, and he's going to brake late. Can he make the corner, though? The 996 is through in another position lost. Potentially no. Albano thought about it. Instead, there's that chain reaction as Villeneuve sneaks by.
Exactly, Joe. With close as everybody's running here, you make one mistake and you lose out on 3 positions. We're right on board with Greg Fullwood here in the popcorn position, watching this battle shape up, and now he's looking like he may have a little bit of a run on Gabriel Albano.
Everybody nose to tail in this group from 9th all the way back down to 14th position. Have they finally settled down a little bit? I see nobody really poking the nose out down into turn 6, although very tight behind Villeneuve. Albano wants that spot back.
Yeah, it very much does. Albano's going to keep the pressure on that. We look out the back of Villeneuve right now as they make their way down this curving straight before they get to the 3rd set of chicanes. Albano late on the brakes there. You see him climbing up over the curbs. It's all about this corner exit, if he can get it or not, going down into the hairpin. I don't think anybody's got the run, but they could send a sneak attack here as they go down. Everybody's going to stay in line.
Ooh, but Albano's really squaring off the exit. He tries to get on the power sooner than Villeneuve. Don't think he quite got it.
No, really didn't. That's going to spread out a little bit. And this is Derwin Kostanak that we have been talking about a little bit. Jordan Dyer ahead of him. Dyer's been able to grow the gap just a little bit, but not enough for him to completely be gone.
Checking in with our leader once again. Justin Sang still has a gap of about 7 to 8 tenths of a second over Amarim, although Raphael very fast through 3 and 4. He gets it down to 6 tenths briefly before it extends once again. Peach State region driver is making sure to keep the pressure on. The level of skill it takes to get into this pro class, and then on top of it, to be at the pointy end and then battle for wins is something to behold. So these two, you have to think, are just focused to the nines right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's just all that mental concentration game. And rest assured that the fact that Raphael Amarim hasn't gone for the overtake here doesn't mean that he doesn't want it. It's just waiting for that right opportunity to present itself. As we ride on board with Chris Braun in that setup. You see the fan there blowing his hair a little bit. Running out behind Rosides right now, very close behind him, as a matter of fact.
And you might think that's a silly thing to have, but keeping cool during the race is definitely going to help a driver. I've even seen that start to be employed in real life recently with some teams. I know the Corvette team with their endurance racing actually has AC in the car because the drivers can be more comfortable and stay cooler throughout the race, even though it costs them some weight.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. And when you sweat and let some of that stuff out of your body, it can actually, dehydrate you and make you not as sharp. So really important to stay as cool as possible as you're driving around. Speaking of staying cool, that is our leader up ahead there through the windshield. That is Justin Sang. Raphael Amarim continuing to get closer and closer, just keeping that gap nice and tight between him and Sang.
And Rachel has been following racing for a lot of years. You know how hot it can get in some of these race cars.
Yeah, I certainly do. For example, in the Stock Car Cup Series, NASCAR Cup Series, it can reach up to 120 Fahrenheit in the cockpit of the car. Never mind the fact you're wearing a neoprene suit under your actual, you're wearing fireproof underwear under your race suit as well, plus helmet liner, plus helmet. It gets swelteringly hot. Drivers could lose 10 plus pounds in water weight in the duration of a 2-hour race. Now imagine that during an endurance race. So, AC in the cars, fans, it is actually smart because you have a driver who is more alert, more comfortable, and does faster. They're also healthier. They're less likely to make mistakes and bend the car. They're going to be racing sharper, like you mentioned, so it's a huge advantage for what appears to be a rudimentary cost. In reality, you are actually giving your guys a better chance of doing well overall, so why not use it for sim racing? And especially those guys running VR rigs, I can tell you from personal experience, you have something that's putting out quite a bit of heat strapped to your face. It gets very hot. Like, I have a Rift S, and even the games I use it for, it will heat up your face. Like, I use it flight simming sometimes, and I will be sweating after like 30, 40 minutes of wearing that thing, because it's just pumping heat into your eyes and into your face, and you have a huge amount of capillaries and blood flow in the facial tissue. So whilst it's normally something that radiates heat out, when it's absorbing heat, your core temperature goes up. It's unhealthy.
I actually witnessed a Finn wreck out because of too much sweat in his eyes from a VR set. So yeah, it's a serious problem. Meanwhile, Chris Pies looks like his VR set is nice and well adjusted. He's certainly got eyes on the road today as he comes down into the Lapingo hairpin once again, but he's lost ground to Amarim. It's up to 4.5 seconds to our top two.
Yes, it has. So he is definitely losing out there a little bit. Jordan Dyer closing in a little bit on the back of Pies, only about 2 seconds there. But this gap between Amarim and Sang, it just continues to be a battle between the two. Them pulling away, them just battling it out. I love that from Justin Sang. You can see that big breath there, just trying to let some tension out of his body.
Sometimes you need those deep breaths. Just remind yourself you got a little bit to go. You're in control. You've been hitting your marks. No need to stress out. Got to stay at least a little bit relaxed. Don't be too tense in the vehicle. The 18 leading Amarim by a mere 0.6 of a second. So we jump back to Rodney Campbell. And this car certainly looking quite built here within the top 10. And Craig just ahead of him. Getting into the race, like you often like to point out here, DJ, he's given that iRacing lean.
Yes, he is really getting into it, and they say that doesn't help you go faster, but I tend to disagree with it as a whole. And Campbell's certainly doing a good job with it to be able to catch up to the back of David Craig right ahead of him. So definitely starting to close in there a little bit. The Wild Rose region driver just trying to claw anything he can over the 996.
I got to say that things look like they're snapping into place well for the 99 car, or excuse me, the 62 car at this stage. And there we see Rodney Campbell just sizing him up, and now he's got a fantastic run going defensive. The gray 996 comes in very shallow, trying to cut underneath for the crossover. Campbell spins the wheels, and that's not going to work.
No, it is not, so he'll have to re-rack and try that again. He's got to be a little bit careful. Greg Fullwood is less than a second behind him, so if he does another move like that here coming in at some point, may find himself dropping out of the top 10.
Back up to Amarim now. Still 5 seconds ahead of Pies. Still applying the pressure to Justin Sang. Impressive stuff here from the 18s. Just keep it steady. Not make any major mistakes, even minor mistakes, which could open the door for that red, white, and blue number 9 car.
Yeah, exactly. The most minor bobble here from Sang could not only throw him out of position a little bit, but as we've talked about a couple of times, very, very easy to get off into the wall and sustain some damage to any one of these Porsches here. And so he has just got to be on it. In turn, then, Rafael Amarim needs to just keep up behind and keep applying that pressure to see if there is any mistake to be had out of Justin Sang.
This is going to be a pressure cooker, no doubt. Hopefully it stays this way all the way to the finish, so that we get a good fight So we come back to Fullwood now. Bit of a trio. Campbell must have attacked again because Fullwood's really caught up, and it's looking very similar to last time where we have Craig covering off the inside. This time, though, getting fully alongside, and maybe he can cut underneath. No, just can't get the grip, can't find the apex under the 996. What does Fullwood have for this? Doesn't look like much. I thought he would have a better exit than that pair.
I thought he would too, but I've got to give credit there to Dave Craig. He really was able to position that car exactly how he wanted to, stop a little bit on the apex to prevent Rodney Campbell from being able to make any sort of maneuver. Rodney there exhibiting one of the things that I do when I race, biting your tongue a little bit. That's often big, but here comes Fullwood down to the inside.
He's got a shot at it. He breaks a little bit deeper, but he's not completely past Campbell. Still holding station as we look off the left-hand side of the roof cam, and he successfully defends.
We're seeing a lot of defense here in this Pro Series, Joe, and it's really pretty some spectacular driving there, the Lego machine. Oh, is that a hit in the wall there for Campbell?
Oh, no. Got to watch out for that. That can affect the handling of the car and the straight line speed as well. With all these long straights, you don't want to be hampered with the pressure from Fullwood behind. All he has to do is get a good exit. We go a little bit behind them to Stifel here in the 003. Fighting with the 3, if that's not confusing enough. He thinks about it, but Leno is able to hold him off.
Yeah, Leno able to do it. You can see that battle up ahead between Fullwood and Craig as well. So the 003 and the 3 there. Here comes Fullwood. Is he going to have a look down to the inside? No. He is going to try to take a later apex onto the corner. Just running a little bit more wide to keep speed. Couldn't get that grip down at all. That's something we're seeing from a lot of these Porsches out here today, Joe.
And it's not terribly hot out, appropriate here in Canada, so not sure what's costing them unless they're just abusing those rear tires a little too much here today. Now we jump back to Matthew Siddall, driver who unfortunately spun earlier. And, Leno just pit as well. So maybe wanting to get away from some of that pressure and the fight that he was experiencing in the mid-pack. But yeah, Siddall spun, I think on lap 2, unfortunately, and dropped all the way back to the end of the field. This is Amarim chasing Sang, which now takes us to the midway race report. Brought to you by Porsche. Porsche is more than a sports car. It's a way of life for all of us, and we appreciate their support of PCA Sim Racing as the Pro Class sponsor. With the recent sub-7-minute lap at the Nurburgring in the GT3 and the arrival of the all-new 992 GT3 Cup car to the U.S., Porsche's dedication to motorsports is stronger than ever. Find more about Porsche at Porsche.com.
Well,
Rachel?
we have leading the race today, Justin Sang. He started on pole. He's currently still in pole. The Golden Gate region driver in the 18 machine, with the camera showing us there, is definitely putting on a phenomenal show today. That car's has some serious speed, and he's leading away just shortly from Rafael Amarim, who is desperately chasing him down as they jump across the curbs there. Not one of them going towards the wall of champions. The Peach State region driver in the 9 car from zone number 3 started second, still running second, but he was first. Now, there was something about, oh god, there come the eyes. I was going to talk about a bird, but the googly eyes are back of Chris Pies. He's currently running in 3rd. He started 4th, the Lone Star region driver in the 14 machine at Imperial Motorsports Porsche. Putting on a great show here. Wants to go further forwards, but he's 6 seconds aft of Amarim and Sang. 4th place is Jordan Dyer. He is at 1 from 5th place. The Schlonsand region driver of zone number 10 in a stunning livery there on that Porsche. 23 machine, like I said, up 1 place from 5th. Down 2 places from where he started in 3rd is Derwin Kosnak in the 190. The Wild Rose region driver of zone 14 has had a bit of a struggle so far today. He's trying to keep himself in the top 5. He's 6th tonight, starting 6th, running 6th, and it's the man with a fan and a plan. It is Chris Braun from the Northeast region there, zone number 1, the 258, and let's just say hi to that little tuft of his hair waving in the wind. It's at the corn at the end of Gladiator. Moving on. Robert Rose from the Shenandoah region in P7 in the 443 from zone number 2. Rose is in 7th, which is exactly 1 spot back from where he started in 6th. And then in P8 we have David Craig with a very intense and moody driver camera there. Looks like he's going to kill his monitor. I think he's glaring at it, something rotten. He started in 12th. He is currently in 8th place. That was a gain of 4 for the Keystone Region driver. 9th is Greg Fullwood from the Delaware region in the 99 machine from zone number 2. So far, he's up from 17th to 9th, so there's a gain of 8 places as we begin our pit sequence. 10th place is Rodney Campbell from the Wild Rose region in the 62 machine from zone 14 in a... Is that car made of Lego? As he's pitting now, that car is in fact made of Lego. So, well, let's hope Lego City doesn't have a problem and no one is saving. 14th place tonight is going to be behind him, I believe, Todd Panic, if my math is correct. We're showing up Campbell here, in fact, Todd Panic, that's him. He's actually technically in 13th place from the Pacific Northwest region in a 15 car from zone number 6. And I gotta say, the Futurama car, I like it. Yeah, that is the best looking car in this race. Planet Express, baby. Taylor?
Moving on to the 11th position is Rick Reisenberg from the Diablo region in that, well, one of the IMSA Porsches that you would see competing in the IMSA WeatherTech series as it works its way through. I believe that's the Wright Motorsports paint scheme that you would see. Moving on back to the 12th position from the Metropolitan New York region is Dewey Kang in the black and white Porsche, almost like the zebra striped Porsche, or White Tiger actually, because it's got Joe Stiffel's name on it. As we move on back to 13th is Northern New Jersey's very own Julian Velez in that yellow Porsche in the number 33, working his way down the Casino Straight as we continue to see pit stop sequences are underway. Moving on to 14th is the Diablo region Stephen Chen in that silver Porsche, trying to hold off the next competitor right behind him, which is Christian Rava. Christian Rava, of course, from the Suncoast, Florida region. Of course, one of the things we have to mention with Christian Rava is his team that he drives for, Jakester Racing, is the only team I've ever been a part of that I've seen that does not have a driver in their team named Jake. So Christian Rava needs to see if we can get onto that about having a Jake on his team. Moving on to the 16th position, we will find Charles Yao from the Finger Lakes region there with the VR headsets, trying to hold on for dear life with that steering wheel setup from Fanatec. As he works his way through, he's putting in the work. He's going to definitely feel the burn after that with the paint scheme that is absolutely stunning. 17th is our actually trivia question winner from earlier tonight, Liam Brazitsis from the Upper Canada region, having a home country race here tonight. Looking to see if he can improve as he sits in 17th. 18th position is Rodney Campbell, who's a little bit further back. We talked about him earlier on. We're now going to go to the 19th position of Upper Canada's very own Joe Sinclair in the Dempsey Proton colors. Beautiful Porsche livery as he works his way through, trying to see if he can gain some spots after starting 22nd. Rounding out your top 20 from the Mardi Gras region, the John Paul Leno car of the number 3, currently not having the best of nights after starting in 14th, but the colorful Mardi Gras paint scheme is going to try to see if he can gain a few more spots. 21st in the 55, Matthew Siddle from the Lone Star region. There you see the onboard camera as he's trying to focus his way through these chicanes. The Matrix Motorsports car having a decent run here in the Gulf livery paint. 22nd is Gabriel Albano from the Gold Coast region in that number 31 Porsche, another iconic livery. We saw it earlier tonight, the Jägermeister Porsche. And then we'll move on to the 23rd position of Alberto Fonseca, a longtime PCA Sim Racer veteran as he works his way through in that number 44 silver in black Porsche. Well, he's certainly trying to be a survivor here tonight, but Joe Stiffel is definitely going to need help from the Eye of the Tiger. The Chicago region's driver is trying to see if he can gain some spots here, but it's going to be a little difficult after starting in 18th. 25th is Jacob Schoon from the Carolinas region as he works his way through. James Patak is out of the race in 26.
And this concludes tonight's Midway Race Report brought to you by Porsche, which brings us to pit stops for the leaders because Justin Sang has come in and Rafael Amorim has decided to continue on. This got very close before we came to this. A couple laps ago, Rafael actually showed his nose and was almost alongside, but then decided not to take the pass. And DJ, that one kind of confused me.
Yeah, Joe, I'm not entirely sure why Rafael did that, unless it may have been a little bit of a head game he was trying to do. He didn't really lose any time to Justin Sang, but as of right now, it looks like that Amorim and Greg Fullwood, just about the only two drivers. I also see Rick Reisenberger not coming in, so that is your top three right now. Other than that, pretty much everybody else diving down into pit lane here. We're going to have to see if this plays out for Amorim. Remember, I talked about the ability to maybe put in a little bit of a hot lap later on.
There we right on board with him. And finally, the crew chiefs have decided to play nice with us because they've started pit stops pretty much everywhere. As soon as we're done with our midway race report, only Amorim, Fullwood, Reinsberg are waiting for their stop, going a lap longer than everybody else on the track at about 16 minutes left to go. Here's Justin Sang demoted down to fourth. Actually, that is Reinsberg right in front of him. That's not good if he catches Rick and finds himself held up a little bit, because it is going to be tight margins as Amorim is in right now.
Yeah, it really and truly is. So this is what it all comes down to, Joe. It's all about those pit stops. Let's see what can happen here. Amorim is in the pits waiting to get down. This is a very long pit lane, so we're going to have to see. As you said, Justin Sang, who we anticipate being the leader, coming down the straight right now.
It was a 15-second stop for Justin. Amorim just hit his box. So far, Justin doesn't look like he's being held up, and Rick heads in. Oh, but Justin missed the chicane. I think he had target fixation. He watched the car ahead brake so late, he almost did it himself.
He did, and that is Amorim on the way right now. I think Justin may lose out here. It's going to be relatively close.
Rafael Amorim is your new leader as Justin Sang makes a critical error in the pit sequence. Chris Pies is not able to try and challenge him with that, though. He's now back by about 6 seconds. There's the onboard. I think he's checking that himself, just trying to make sure that he's not going to be in trouble of losing second place as well.
Yeah, indeed, and that gap is now 4.5 seconds, and considering the pace differential between Amorim and Sang really isn't all that much at all. I mean, their fastest laps are only separated by about 1/10 of a second. This is going to be tricky for Sang, barring a mistake from Rafael Amorim.
Yeah, it's a long ways to make up, and only 15 minutes left. Rutsidas is behind Chris Braun, coming down into turn 8 as we rode on board with him briefly. Both of them just glancing those white sausage curbs coming past turns 8 and 9. And then it's a blast out of the trees into the open with the stands surrounding them, coming into Lepingle. A little bit wide there for Chris coming off the corner, but Rutsidas doesn't look close enough to capitalize.
No, he does not. Rutsidas, I think, is not going to be able to do it. Jump back here to Panic right now as he follows around Dave Craig. Ooh, Craig trying to back up that corner a little bit maybe and get Panic offline. There is the view that Dave Craig is going to be looking at. There you can see that rear view mirror for Dave Craig. Panic trying to close it down. I think he may have done a good job, Craig, that is, of keeping him at bay. We're right on board with roughly what Craig is going to be seeing here. Panic very close in that rear view camera.
Still, he's got to try and get past him. It's one thing to catch a car. It's another to go by. And the 15 of Panic has not got much time to try and do it. Up 2 positions from the start of this race. Still on at least a good gain. We come back to Rutsidas now, just behind Chris in the 2.58. And as close as he's been getting, he's not been able to get side by side.
No, he hasn't, but about 13 minutes left to go in this race. There's still time if he wants to push for it. You see him diving to the inside there a little bit, just trying to see if he can find any air to be able to force a mistake.
And for one last time here in Canada, we've got some trivia on the tip of our tongues. Taylor, what's it going to be for the last time?
Well, from, of course, talking a little bit of virtual racing, we also talked a little bit about IMSA racing. Now it's time to talk a little bit about Le Mans and one famous Canadian who took home a podium position at Le Mans. He finished third overall, but came home second in his class, driving the famous Porsche 911 GT1 in 1996. The Canadian driver we're looking for is the answer to tonight's question.
All right, so let's see who really knows their endurance racing history. It's pretty surprising that a lone Canadian up on the podium there. Who would have thought, with how many successful drivers we've had come from the north, that there'd be a few more that have managed to find success. Coming off the chicane here, though, Panic trying to find success, attacking Craig and just not getting it.
No, he's really not. And you know, Joe, this is something that we've seen kind of play out over the course of the last couple of races here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Later in the race, it just gets harder and harder to get a pass done. The tires are worn in a little bit more. It's just not as much grip to be able to go on. You really got to absolutely get a full send moment to be able to get a pass done here late. But Panic definitely keeping up behind Craig and keeping up the pressure.
He breaks down into turn 6. Looking good on the binders. Todd gets close to him. That could help him if he could just get a little bit closer to the shiny metal can of the number 996 as they approach turn 8. Just nothing doing on that one. And credit to Craig, he's not making many mistakes.
No, he's not. Little glance in the mirrors there. You saw that glance to the side. Panic didn't get the perfect run, but he's going to make a dive down into the hairpin. Is this it? No, Craig is going to cut him off. Then again, that great defensive heads-up driving from Dave Craig. Just a little tap of the brakes right at the apex to set Panic offline and make him question the ability to get onto the throttle pedal. It's perfect.
On board with Villeneuve back in 16th as well. This is him trying to chase down Kang. Oh, and we had a problem up towards the front. Jordan Dyer's off track in the Senna S's. What happened here?
I'm not sure, Joe, but let's check this out. Dyer here coming along and following the 23 machine. There he goes down into the S, and he didn't catch any of the grass on the entry, it looked like. I think he just brought in a little bit too much speed.
Maybe those tires finally cried enough. So 23 eventually finds his way back onto the circuit. Thankfully, nobody else getting involved, but he falls to 7th behind this man, Rutsidas, who was also in a bit of a fight with Braun before they got rudely interrupted by that yellow flag in front of them. And this carries on now in the final 9 minutes of the race.
Yeah, and indeed, riding on with Chris Braun there, getting that car out of the corner, sweeping it as wide as it will go, as he's able to hold off Rutsidas here for the moment. That gap expanding out to about 0.6 of a second. Rutsidas does start to close a little bit down the straight, but not enough to make a real difference.
Meanwhile, I'm getting pinged by Rachel. Rachel, what have you got for us?
Well, actually, I thought it was Taylor who actually had something for you next.
He did our trivia a little bit earlier, but
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, my brain's not working. I didn't read that he'd already... Yeah, this is what happens when you get...
Pay attention.
Your brain starts to fade away. No, I actually wanted to bring up something about this track especially. We, of course, know it's set in the Parc Jean Drapeau, and every year before the Grand Prix, park officials have to literally go running around catching the groundhogs. They temporarily relocate them from the circuit grounds during the races, and they move them to the neighboring Ile Sainte-Hélène, and it is apparently a major disruption. It's a major problem, and they have to go and literally go groundhog hunting humanely, and they keep them alive, of course. It's all very safe, but they still managed to come out of nowhere and disrupt the races. In fact, 2011, Ralf Schumacher narrowly missed one, and Anthony Davidson unfortunately had to get a new wing after he struck one. I don't think the groundhog won there, unfortunately. Hopefully it wasn't Puxatawny Phil.
I don't think it was that far out of Pennsylvania at that stage, most likely.
I think it ended up in Pennsylvania after the impact.
Yeah, most likely. I actually did that once with a cat. I captured a stray cat and took it to Kentucky since I live in Ohio. So Kentucky has a spare one.
Can I ask, just really briefly, before the racing is more important, but why did you take a stray cat to Kentucky? This
Because
feels like a story that has an end.
Well, there's a river between here and Kentucky.
Oh,
and
no.
I knew it would not be making its way back to me. So
Oh.
I didn't put it in the river. I took it across the river.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Slightly better. You still abandoned a poor homeless cat, but at least you didn't put it in the river. I would have had to disassociate myself with you if that was the case.
No. I'm very much an animal lover, so no. I humanely set it aside, but made sure it was not coming back to my property. Anyways, so there's a battle happening with Panic and Craig that's been going on as we've been talking about stray cats. The 996 having to go defensive a few times here on the Planet Express, but the 15 still not successful.
Yeah, not able to get it done, as it were, but that battle just continuing to rage as much as possible. Panic just keeping it in, getting close to the wall there out of that first set of chicanes.
And definitely hounding that 996. He's only got 6 more minutes now on the clock. And this is a great exit. He's within about a car length of Dave Craig. Does he try it once again? Dave just covering him off immediately, trying to play the defensive route. Comes back to the racing line. Still nothing doing for the Planet Express car.
No, nothing doing yet, and I think he really has just got to try to get it here. He is pretty close. Here is Panic. He's got that gap under about 0.2 of a second. Let's see if he tries to make a dive. No. All right, he's going to try to carry some more momentum through Lapingle, run it around. Just can't get the bite down, and that gap grows back out again to about 0.5 of a second.
So we look with Rava, the onboard of the 20th place driver. He's just behind Stephen Chen that you see in front of him. Chen up a couple positions, but now he's going to be down one as Rava outbreaks him at Lapingle. Can he get the shot off the corner is the question, and the answer is yes.
Yeah, it's a good run there, so he'll be able to pull up ahead in that number 3 machine. So there they go. Whoa, here comes the fight back.
Takes a look to the inside, but yeah, that's not happening. That silver number 8 is way too far back as we head over to Rositas now. We've had a lot of good fights right here at the end. Cars just pairing up and duking it out.
Yeah, really and truly, Joe, just absolutely going at it tooth and nail here. Ooh, there's Rositas looking in the back of Chris Braun. They're coming out of that third set of chicanes. Is this going to be enough of a run for Rositas? I don't think so. Starts to poke his nose a little bit this way and that. This is going into the hairpin. Ooh, I think Rositas is looking here for a little bit of a crossover.
And as he tries to get the power down, it's not there. Did Chris Pies have a problem? No, he just lost a position this lap. Jordan Dyer got by with an overtake. Man, what a downfall for the 14. He was up in 3rd for much of this race, and now he's sitting in 7th.
Yeah, Chris just having a bad day out there. It looks like not able to do it. You can kind of see a little bit by his face. Yeah, he's running a little bit slow there. That's a 38.3 on his last lap, so I think a bit of a problem.
Oof. So not the finish he was looking for here today in Canada. Taylor, it's been all quiet on the Western Front. Do you have any tips or hints for our fans on the trivia?
I'm kind of wanting to see if we can actually stump our trivia people here tonight. So far we have, but I'll go ahead and be nice and give them one little hint. The driver we're looking for is also a former broadcaster in the world of motorsports.
Interesting. Speaking of animals, so we've got a friend behind Justin, ready to celebrate him. And is he leaving? No, he's just going to sploot, which is the proper term for that position, by the way. When a dog legs its front and back legs out, it's called a sploot. I'm not kidding. That's for real.
Well, there you go, Joe. They say you can't learn new things in the middle of broadcasting, and I certainly just did. So there it is. But, oh, here's Rositas. This is going to be a little bit of a big attempted crossover that is not going to pan out well for the 05 machine.
Yeah, went way deep. Now he's really got to make some ground back up. Look at how much he's lost as we come to panic. No, we're not going to panic, at least hopefully not. Todd around the outside of Craig, or maybe over under, neither. Still can't get this one done. Pies is having all kinds of problems. Is he low on fuel? He's lost his spot to Robert Rose now.
Jumping on board to listen into Chris Pies' machine, I don't know if it's necessarily an issue of fuel or what it is. You can see a little bit of frustration there, a little bit of sort of just coming out of the face of Chris Pies from what we can see. Doesn't sound like he's doing a lift and coast, Joe. I wonder if he maybe picked up a wee bit of damage. Yes, he did. I think the left side of that rear wing has just a hair of damage on it.
The saddest looking googly eyes I've seen in some time. And unfortunately, the car is going to have to limp home after potential podium slips through his fingers. But I tell you what, one thing that we haven't talked a whole lot about, Amorim has stomped the field today ever since he inherited that lead from the pit sequence. 14 seconds from P1 to P2. That is astonishing after they spent the entire first sequence separated by less than a second.
It really shows you just the patience that Rafael Amorim had there in the opening stages of this race. This is going to be close. No, it's not. He is going to cross the line. This is the white flag lap for the number 9.
1 to go for Rafael Amorim, coming off of back-to-back wins. One back in Alabama and potentially here in Canada. We can now look at the Brumos liveried car. A little bit of a shake there coming off of turn 4, but he keeps it from running into the wall. Sang has been absolutely nowhere since his pit stop. But the good news is Kostanek is a whole 6.5 seconds behind.
Yes, he is. So he doesn't have to worry too much about that. I'll tell you who may still have to worry a little bit. That's Chris Brown. Liam Ruzides not going away quite yet.
Ruzides is putting some immense pressure on down into turn 6, getting right up to the barrier. And he's got a great exit. This is a good chance for him. Can he make the move? A little bit of a defense there down to the inside as Braun doesn't want to give up this 4th spot, and he's not going to give it up yet.
No, he's not. Although we ran a little bit wide there on the exit. There it goes. Is he going to try to make the crossover here later? A little bit onto the binders. Tries to get on the crossover. That lap traffic could play a little bit into his hands.
And we got to go to our leader because Rafael Amorim is going to take the win. He weaves in celebration as he takes victory in Canada. Then behind them.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah, behind him, Braun is not out of the woods. Here comes Ruzides. Oh, but he doesn't try and make the move. He could get a better exit. Oh, but he is stopped by his momentum being held up off the corner. Braun is going to get it. That's not for position in front of him as Kostanek is going to take 3rd. But Braun does a brilliant bit of work defending.
Yes, he does. When we check back on that other battle, this is Todd Panic. We ride on board with him to see if he's got one last chance on David Craig up in front of him. Looks like Craig's able to get the run out of the corner, and that is going to line it up 1-2.
Panic just couldn't get it in the end. That's the last of our battles, though, out on the track. Everybody just kind of filing in. 20 of them finished on the lead lap. I think that was pretty close to what we had finish on the lead lap in the club class as well. But I think we only lost one to a DNF yet again, and that was James Tack, and that was to, we think, potentially a technical issue. Amorim, your winner here today with Justin Sang finishing in 2nd, Derwin Kostanek, P3, rounding out your podium. Chris Braun having quite a fight at the end, taking 4th over Liam Ruzides, and Jordan Dyer finishing in 6th. Robert Rose was P7, Chris Pies in 8th today. You've got Greg Fullwood quietly going from 17th to 9th, and Dave Craig finishing in 10th.
In 11th, it was Todd Panic as he was unable to catch David Craig in front of him. Rodney Campbell came home in 12th, followed by Rick Reisenberg and Joe Sinclair in 14th. Dewey Kang was 15th, followed by Julian Velez in 16th, and Jean-Paul Leno was 17th, with Christian Rava and Stephen Chen in 19th. Charles Yao rounds out your top 20.
Matthew Siddall finished 21st with Joe Stiffel in 22nd. The last one lap down was Fonseca. Then you've got Albano in at 24th, followed by Schum on the same lap as him. And as we mentioned, James Tack was a DNF today and Rattray a DNS. Unfortunately, I believe we've got our third place finisher ready to talk to us, Derwin Kostanak, who came home a little bit close to those behind him, but still managed to grab the podium. Derwin, up ahead of you, they had quite a battle during the first part of this race, but you seem to have just kind of quietly worked your way through to spray the champagne.
Yeah, I was a bit lucky. I mean, I started third on the grid, but Chris Pies and Jordan Dyer were just quicker than I was on the cold tires, so I dropped to fifth, and it was just all I could do to keep up with Jordan there.
Well, sometimes those sort of races you want is you don't have to deal with any hairy moments, at least, or it didn't seem like it from us. Also, I like your livery on this car. We understand that Greg Moore is one of your favorites. Is that in any way a tribute to him?
Certainly, that is the color scheme. It's based on the old Players Forsyth livery from the IndyCar series, and I'm using a version of his helmet on my driver in the car as well. So absolutely a Greg Moore tribute.
Oh, that is really touching to see and awesome. Also, with you being Canadian, we asked our winner of last round what it meant to them. Is this one extra special, managing to at least get a podium?
Absolutely. This is a home race, right? There's only 2 Canadian circuits in the entire iRacing service. And of course, Montreal being the Formula One circuit, it is special to end up on the podium here for what would be my home race. Yes.
Oh, great stuff. Glad to hear that. Anybody you want to thank for this one then?
I thank everybody for a really good, clean race. There was a hairy moment there on lap 22, but Chris, did the right thing and just stayed put, and I was able to sneak by him and keep going. So great race to everybody. A lot of fun today. Thank you.
That was Derwin Kostanak, who finished in third here today. I believe DJ's caught up with Justin Sang, who mysteriously fell back at the end of the race.
Yeah, Justin, I wanted to ask you, you were in a very, very close battle there with Raphael through the first part of that, and just a little bit slower coming out of the pit stops. What happened?
Yeah, I was following another car, and then I blew the last turn. So probably lost like 5 seconds. I mean, Raphael was quicker than me anyways. But yeah, that didn't help. I lost it on the outlap.
Well, in the closing stages there, it looked like you were just kind of running a race of your own. But, are you looking full championship here at this point? Was that kind of the focus here, just closing things down?
I was just trying to finish the race. I knew Raphael was quicker, so I couldn't really catch him. So I was just trying to stay in second, and I actually spun without, because I wasn't paying too much attention. But yeah, I just try to finish in the podium every race and see how I do in the championship.
I feel like that's a solid plan. Before we go to our traditional asking for thanks, everybody in the booth wants to know what your puppy's name is, because we saw him come in the middle of the broadcast.
Oh, it's her name is Joy. She's a little bit hyper dog. I think she wants me to take her out.
Well, I won't hold you any longer, so you can get to taking her out, Justin. Anybody you want to thank for this second place here today?
Thank you to the PCA guys for hosting all these sessions, and the instructors, also to you guys for the commentary, and also I would like to thank Red Sim Design. He created the livery for my car. That would be all. Thanks.
You are more than welcome. That was Justin Sang, your second place finisher here today. Joe?
That takes us to our winner, Raphael Amorim. Taylor has caught up with him.
Here was Rafael Amorim, who has come home with the checkered flag here today. Rafael, a strong performance in the beginning, but after the mistake by Justin, you were able to absolutely just pull away from the competition. How overall did you feel the track conditions were for you tonight?
Well, it was a good race, and I tried to play on strategy on this one, and Justin had awesome pace, and I figured it's going to be really hard to pass him, so I'm just going to tuck behind him, save fuel, and hopefully we can open a gap to Chris. So that helped me save my tires a little bit. So towards the end of the race, the car was still feeling pretty good. I still had a ton of tires left and wasn't taking too much risk, so the strategy paid off.
Certainly did indeed. Now we get ready to go back to the United States to the Auto Club Speedway competition course, a unique circuit to compete on as this is a Roval configuration. Your thoughts on competing on this circuit here?
Well, it's going to be an interesting race. To be honest, I didn't run a single lap, so it's going to be a learning experience, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning experience for everyone. It's not a track that we race often, so yeah, it should be interesting, the Roval component, and to see how the G3R is going to behave.
Oh, before we let you go, Rafael, who would you like to say thank you to?
Well, as always, all the sponsors, the steering committee, and you guys from Podium. You always put a great show, and this is a lot of fun. All the other drivers that show up, and this is a great community. And as always, my wife as well. She's the one that supports me and kind of tolerates all of my different hobbies.
Definitely got to thank the spouse on that one. That is Rafael Amorim, your winner from the Peach State region here in the Pro Class.
This has been some phenomenal racing in all 4 races here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So we can't thank the drivers enough for the fantastic shows they put on. However, we'll see you next time at Auto Club Speedway for the Challenge and Sport classes. It all kicks off at 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, October 20th, live here on Podium Esports. Thank you so much to our title sponsor, Hagerty, as well as the series sponsors, Michelin and Porsche. A big thank you to the steering committee at PCA Sim Racing, and a huge thanks to our team tonight, DJ, Taylor, Ryan, Eric, and Dougie. Also, none of this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, James Pike, Gary Sexton, Cisco Scaramuza, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing presented by Hagerty. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.
Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at hagerty.com. PCA Sim Racing is proud to have Hagerty Motorsports as its 2021 title sponsor.